my friends, I hope you're ready to review yet another wrestling show, because when it comes to professional wrestling, you can literally watch brand new entertainment content every single day. And if you go on YouTube or you have the W Network, you could just embrace it for 24 hours throughout the week. I mean, you could actually die watching wrestling. Don't do it. But my name is Simon WhatCulture. Thank you very much for joining me. Also, thank you for voting in this week's Retro Ups and Downs poll, Armageddon 2001. Thank Flub for that. It's been on the poll like around about 92,000 times. So we will do that on Friday. But as of right now and right here, it's time to up those downs for the latest episode of Impact. Johnny Bravo's back. We push that to one side. Let's talk about it. After recapping all of our stories in a handy video that did get you up to speed, we were having the returning Motor City Machine Guns taking on XXXL. And this makes all the sense in the world, because who was responsible for taking out Alex Shelley? It was XXXL. I enjoy it when things make sense, and it's getting it up. We also kept this going because we had two dudes that they were agile and quick, and we had another two dudes that were strong and powerful, and that's all we needed to do. I was a little bit confused that it was Chris Sabin that got the hot tag, because this was Alex Shelley's big comeback, but whatever, it didn't really make a difference. There was a bunch of double team moves towards the end that made you go, oh my gosh, who's going to win? But of course we had to give it to the Machine Guns. They hit the skull and bones, whatever the hell they call it, to get the 1, 2, 3. And it's always quite a big scalp when you do take down XXXL, because they're just massive as their name applies. Surely as well, this is the start of their journey to reclaim their tag team championships. I'm alright if that does end with the Good Brothers versus them. It's all coming together very nicely, like a lovely little package. Scott D'Amore then suspended Ken Shamrock. And I was like, Scotty, are you sure that's a good idea? There are some crazy cats within the world of pro wrestling, and Ken Shamrock is right up there at the top. D'Amore was also waiting for them at the door of the arena, so Ken couldn't even do anything before he was told, you're not allowed to come in, and he promised when he does return, he's gonna beat everybody up, and that's probably what he will do. Now, thankfully, Sami Callihan, who was also here, calmed him down, and he was allowed to enter, but I fear for everybody next week. And of course, this did happen because he attacked D'Lo Brown, who is an Impact official, and then we switched to somewhere else backstage, and Johnny Bravo was really mad at Larry D. And I was like, of course he's really mad. He tried to kill you. Hilarious though, it was Bravo who ended up getting beaten up by his murderer, or would-be murderer, and then Tommy Dreamer popped in to try and calm things down, and he got beaten up too. I know some people like this, which is cool. As I always say, if your sport's entertained, you have won. But given all the time we dedicated to this, and it just got us here, I don't get it. It is lost on my bald head. I then got things very wrong. I know it happens a lot. I'm an idiot. But it was another match in the women's tag team tournament, and it was Jordynne Grace teaming up with Jazz for the first time, and they were taking on Killer Kelly and Renee Michelle. And because Killer Kelly had that match last week, which she lost, I'd made the prediction, well, I'm sure they'd win in the tag team tournament. Not gonna lie, I kind of forgot what the brackets were when I did say that. Of course they didn't get the victory here. Because there's no way you're gonna bring in Jazz, who looks like she could kick everybody in the company's ass anyway, in here and just have her lose. That wouldn't make any sense, especially because she is teaming with Jordynne Grace, who also looks like she could beat you up while having a drink. It would be easy, it's getting it up. I will say that Kelly and Michelle, or Cam, as I'm going to call them, did look very good here, so we certainly have some potential, although technically during this, they lost twice, because Kelly was done after the Grace driver and she got saved at the last second by Michelle, so Jazz just got in there and hit her with the X Factor and pinned her for the 1, 2, 3. So both of these people could have bit them either way. They are going through to the next round where they will take on Havoc and Navaya. And I'm calling it now. I think Jordynne Grace and Jazz should win. Ethan Page is still upset too, the poor dude. He was ranting and raving in the back here and even said that he wants to challenge Carl Anderson, and if he is able to beat him, then he thinks the North deserve another tag team title match. And just to wind him up and sort of get in there right under the ribs, he admitted, it was me that attacked Doc Gallows, so that's why your best buddy isn't around anymore. Boo-hoo, cry the tears. I mean, I'm pretty sure that was the whole point of the Hornswoggle match, sorry, just Swoggle, and Ethan Page lost that, but I get it. I get what he's doing here. He's needling the bear, and in pro wrestling, usually when you needle the bear, you'll get what you want. I then had one of those moments where just for a brief second I forgot the past, and it really made me confused about what I was seeing in the future, or at least the present. Because I watched too much wrestling. That's why I watched too much wrestling, and all the storylines kind of combobulate and just become one. But we switched to Alicia Edwards here, who was standing in a corner, and she was ready to attack Sami Callihan. I was like, why would Alicia Edwards want to attack Sami Callihan? And then I remembered. The interesting bit too is she was so wound up by this that even when Tennille Dashwood and Caleb with a K wanted to have a conversation, she was like, not now, you absolute buffoons. I cannot talk to you. And that was quite a nice story beat, because obviously last week she was desperate to get this tag team back together. But now she wants to beat up Callihan, because what did he do to Eddie Edwards, her husband, last week? He twonked him with a bat. So now she must need revenge. And she did achieve this too. As soon as she saw him, she jumped the man, she tried to beat him up. Thankfully, officials were there to pull her away. And when Tennille Dashwood saw this, she just walked off. She didn't want any of this nonsense. She just wants to take pictures. Once again, not the noise a camera makes. Following on from that, I really think we need some progression with this Eric Young, Joe Doring stuff. I don't get it at all. Down. Because next up was Johnny Swinger versus Cody Deaner, and it soon became clear that this is the weekly Impact. Hey, we're going to pretend we're going to have a match, but we're not going to have a match because here come Joe and Eric to ruin things. And that's what they did. And then Eric Young got on the microphone and went, oh, the world is going to be mine, like he was a James Bond villain. And I just scratched my skull because I'm like, wait, you were kind of in the world title picture before this, and then you just stopped and you teamed with this guy, and now you're saying this. And if anybody asked me why, I'd go, I don't know, he's just really mad. I mean, the whole character has been nuts for months, so it does work in that sense, but I need explanation, and I need reasoning, and I need evidence. Thanks. And it was then time for a bunch of backstage bits. Let's go. It started with Deonna Purazzo and Kimberly, and they asked James Mitchell, look pal, have you been able to sort out this situation with Su Yung? And he said, no. I bet they were like, well, we're really glad we hired you. We were then with the Deaners, who agreed that Eric and Joe need to be taken down a peg or two, but Cody then decided, no, look, I don't need any of your help. I must do this by myself. And he was shouting, he was screaming, he was so wound up. Dude, safety in numbers. There's 2 of them, and they've already wrecked half the roster. Why wouldn't you want some assistance? But apparently next week, classic pro wrestling, shall we do anything about it now? No, let's wait 7 days. However, apparently next week, he shall finally sort the situation out. My prediction, he gets his ass whipped. We then zoomed to the ring as Purazzo, Lee and Mitchell came out to try and sort out the Su Yung situation. And as always, when Impact goes weird, Impact goes really, really flipping weird. And I say it all the time, I'll say it again. I respect it, and I don't want them to stop it, but they have this line, and a lot of the time, they step over it for my personal taste. This was just crazy. I'm giving it a down. I mean, it started with the champion telling Su Yung to show her face, and despite her being some, alien demon, she really wanted to win back the championship, so out she popped. James then started saying, oh, you're gonna pay for your sins, where a bunch of bridesmaids came out. Just imagine the Undertaker druids, but bridesmaids. And look, these were very disconcerting people. They were all like, oh, I'm a zombie. And just as it seemed like they were going to attack, Deonna Purazzo beat up Su Yung, and the bridesmaids picked her up, and they took her away. Now, I do appreciate the Impact had to pivot last minute. I mean, I'd imagine we were still meant to be in the throngs of Deonna Purazzo taking on Kylie Rae. Once again, I hope she's doing okay. But yeah, this one has just come so far out of left field. I am somewhat intrigued when I watch it, but I don't know if I like it. So let's just leave it there. I will say on a quick side note, I think if it had fans and a bigger reaction, it would be coming across far better. But I hate it when people say that now. We can't have fans, we all understand the idea. But then back to business as Moose was talking to Chris Bay, and he said, look, Chrissy baby, I know that you're gunning for the world title. And he went crazy. He was like, but know this, if you do win it, I am going to kill you. And I think he meant it. I mean, he didn't say that, but that's kind of what was implied. And I'd also like to say, once again, I was incorrect. Everything that Moose did with EC3 has turned him back into a proper main event player, which meant the story worked, it rehabbed him, and there I was pooping all over it. I made a genuine mistake. It worked. We also then had Carl Anderson accept Ethan Page's challenge, and they will go at it at the pay-per-view. And once again, this did make sense, because of course he would say yes. He can't believe that Ethan Page beat up his best pal, so now he wants revenge too. So many people on Impact Wrestling just looking for revenge, apart from Johnny Bravo, who should want the most revenge of all. The sheer madness with the X Division title then continued. I mean, once again, if you tried to explain this to anyone, their face would probably go like this. Because it was Rohit Raju versus Crazy Steve, and of course Crazy Steve had earned this opportunity because last week he was doing suicide type moves, but now that he's back being Crazy Steve, he was doing Crazy Steve type moves, and he beat Rohit last week as suicide with the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up. And breathe. Oh yep, and of course this all happened because TJP distracted Rohit Raju. Anyway, let's forget about that. These two were fighting here, and Rohit at first was having his ass handed to him until he decided, wait, I know what I can do. I'll just boot you right in the arm, which he did. And it worked. Even then though, Crazy Steve would just not stay down, and it looked like he was finally going to beat Rohit until unfortunately Raju remembered, oh yeah, what's the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment and how you beat me last week? It's a surprise roll-up. So he did that, and he gave it an extra bit of a kick because he grabbed the ropes, and he once again escaped with his X Division title. What a piece of trash he is. Now I do have to say that Impact is now way too close to having too many surprise roll-ups. We are getting into WWE territory, but let's see what happens in 7 days' time. But I was entertained by this. I do not know why. It is absolutely crazy. And TJP, by the way, is now apparently going to feud with Brian Myers. So how we get back to this, I do not know. That seems to have been dropped. But look, for the 5-10 minutes it was on my screen, it can have an up. What it's not is all this stuff with the money that is getting it down. Because my big question is, why is nobody spending this? Why do people get the cash and then just keep it on their possession? That it's not worth anything if you do that. Because basically, Fowler Bar, he found Kira Hogan and he found Tasha Steelz, and he's like, give me my money. They were like, we don't have the money. And then he was like, well, I saw you on Twitter, I retweeted the clip. And they were like, wait a minute, you got Twitter? I can't believe it. Then they pretended they didn't have the money, and of course it turned out they had the money. But Fowler Bar, being an idiot, didn't realize they had the money. And of course, as ever, Hogan and Steelz then just said, well, I'll tell you what, let's just sort it out next week. Just go out there and buy a flipping car. It's just coins. I do not care about it. And going back to what we said earlier, it was here where Brian Myers once again was laughing at Crazy Steve and TJP. The TJP said, all right, big guy, you want to have a match next week? And Brian said, yes. So I don't know where that's going to go, but it's a recap show. I have recapped. I do love that wrestling trope though. I never really talked about it, but it makes me laugh. I am so annoyed. I want to fight you, but only in 7 days, because right now, I gotta go play Fortnite. And then my word, I did not see what was coming in our main event. It's actually a little bit confusing, so maybe you can explain it to me in the comments. But it was Willie Mack taking on Chris Bay, because of course over the last few weeks, Chris Bay has been running down Willie Mack, and Willie Mack actually won. Now you can kind of see this coming halfway through, because I tell you, Chris Bay was just whipping Willie Mack's ass. And usually what we do in wrestling is if you take most of the match, the other guy is going to surprise you and get the 1, 2, 3. And that's what happened. My word, did it come out of nowhere though, because Mack just grabbed Chris Bay's foot, he smashed him right in the face, gave him the stunner, and yeah, he pinned him to the 1, 2, 3. And I was like, well, I guess Willie Mack is now in the world title picture, because if not, what the flub are we doing? And why do I say that? Well, straight after we were done, Moose was out here and he gave a spear to Willie Mack, but then Rich Swann came out and he made the save, but then Chris Bay hit a cutter on Rich Swann, and it was him that ended holding the Impact World Championship as Rich just lay on the canvas. So unless we're going to do a 4-way here, which by the way, I'm well into, that would be awesome, Chris Bay's world title picture shots hopes are now in the toilet, or at least Willie Mack is above him. That's what came across to me. I don't get it. But look, the match was really good, and there's every chance that we are going to do a 4-way. I don't know right now. I have to wait and see, and that's why it's going to get an up. And it was quite interesting. I enjoy it when multiple people are going after the same thing, but you can also kind of transition them off into other feuds. Impact did that with the tag team titles recently, and it was one of the best things I thought at the time. But as always, it's just so easy to watch. That's my catchphrase for Impact Ups and Downs. Impact Ups and Downs, it's just so easy to watch. And it's true, it flies by like an aeroplane. I think I said that last week too, but hey, facts are facts. Overall, it can have an up. Just kill the money angle, please. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's episode of Impact. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head over to WhatCulture.com, read yourself some articles, follow WhatCulture on Twitter, WhatCulture WWE, and watch more videos here on WhatCulture Wrestling. We got it all. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. Thank you as always for giving me your time, spending it with me. I do appreciate it, and I'll see you soon.